You must believe in something. Is she Amish?
I also studied with SNES more than I did with other things.
What?
Abby also started with sneeze.
Started what?
Started dressing like sneeze. That's her first thing.
Good for you. Did you choose your name or did you? Given it?
I was born with it.
Your parents gave you your name.
My parents just liked the name, so here we are.
You know what it means? Avi, my father. Goel is the Redeemer.
Oh, really?
Goel, he's the Redeemer. That's Hashem. Hashem is our Redeemer. My rock and my Redeemer. We say in the Davening.
All I know about the choosing of the name is that my dad was the one who chose it.
He chose the name.
He chose the name. It was between Abigail and Charlotte, and they didn't know which one they wanted to name me.
Sarah?
Charlotte.
Oh, Charlotte.
Yeah, and then they waited until I was born, and after I was born, they said, okay, she's an Abigail, and that's how I got my name.
Oh. So, that's who you are. That's who you are. Your name is the definition, the form, the tziyur of your soul. That's why when someone contacts the Rebbe, there are many stories like this where somebody writes to the Rebbe and the Rebbe says, "What's your name?" I said, "Well, I wrote my name there." And I said, the Rebbe says, "No, there must be more." Because the Rebbe sees the soul, and that's not the whole name of the soul of the person. There are times when shluchim have written in on behalf of people that they're close with who need a blessing, or someone in the family needs a blessing, and the Rebbe asks for their name, for their Hebrew name, their mother's Hebrew name. And they give it, and they say, no. And the Rebbe doesn't say no, he just keeps asking, what's the name? And then they find out that there's a history here, and there's more to the name. One rather humorous case is about a person who really liked the shliach in his area, but he had a severe problem. He had a real big problem that he was a kohen, and he wanted to marry, or he did marry, a non-Jewish girl, and kohen's not allowed. And the shliach didn't know what to do because he didn't want to lose this person who had become interested in his Chabad house. But on the other hand, he couldn't give him a stamp of approval to marry a non-Jewish girl. So he said, there's nothing for it. We're going to have to go to the Rebbe. Let's see what the Rebbe advises you. And they went by on Sunday dollars. And I mean, there are a couple of instances like this. The Rebbe didn't just have one way of answering somebody. In this case, he said, in one very humorous case, the Rebbe said, "Oh, I envy you." He says, "You envy me because I want to marry a non-Jewish girl?" The Rebbe said, "Yeah, I'll never want to. I have no desire to marry a non-Jewish girl. But obviously, if you do, that means you have very special strength and power to be able to deal with this situation and to rectify it." That's one story. And the other story, the guy went by on Sunday dollars, and the shliach said, "This is so-and-so. He's a Kohen. He wants to marry a non-Jewish girl, and he's asking the Rebbe what he should do." The Rebbe said, "Speak to your mother." Rabbi Groner said, go to my office right now. And he went in, Rabbi Groner's office was right beside where the dollar line was. He went in, he called him and says, Mom, I'm in 770 Eastern Parkway. I just spoke to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He said, I should speak to you. What's the story? She said, oh, now my sins are recalled before me. What are you talking about? She says, well, your father died before you were born. He says, yeah, I know. He said, but I was worried about you. What's going to be an orphan? Who's going to pay any attention to you? So I made you a Kohen. So I figured a Kohen always gets special treatment. They'll call you up to the Torah. They'll honor you with saying the blessings. They'll take care of you. But am I a Kohen? Was Dad a Kohen? She said, no, I just made you a Kohen. How did the Rebbe know?
He saw the soul.
You could see. People say, I felt the Rebbe was looking through me more than they realized. And another amazing story that there was somebody from Israel came, the Rebbe engaged him in conversation. And he said, we've had a very hard year. We lost so and so many soldiers this year in combat. Jewish soldiers. The Rebbe said a different number. He said, no, Rebbe, this is my job in the IDF, that I'm the one, I have to write the letters of condolence to the families. I know exactly how many soldiers passed away. The Rebbe said, no, you're making a mistake. It's one more. And he was sure the Rebbe was making a mistake. And he went back there to Israel and he found out that in the meantime, while he'd been away, someone had succumbed to their wounds and had passed away. In other words, it was exactly what the Rebbe had said. So the next time he was in New York, he made because he was on official State of Israel business. Because of his position in the army, he had to be here for certain talks and so on. He made a point coming to New York to visit the Rebbe again. I said, Rebbe, I have to ask you a question. How did you, when you were, I'm sure you recall, that we had a disagreement about the number of people who had passed away. How did you know better than I did? And you're not in Israel. How did you know? And the Rebbe said, listen to this. The Rebbe said, because every neshama that comes into the world or goes out of the world passes through this room. Okay, chapter 20, Tehillim. Hashem should watch over all the neshamas everywhere. Lam Natseyach Mizma David. Yanchalai B'Yem Tzara Yisagef Hashem Elohei. Yankev Yishach Ezoham Mekaydesh Omitzei Yisadeka Yizker Kol Michasecha V'Elos V'Los Nesela Iten L'Chol Hilvavecha V'Chol Atzasacha Yamolei L'Ran Ala B'Shavasecha V'Shem Eloheinu Nidgel Yamolei Adakam V'Shalisecha Adonai Ki Heshi Adonai Meshirei Yanehu Mishpeh Kodesh B'Gvuris Yeshi Yemine Ele Rechav Elasus V'Anachnu Hashem Eloheinu Nidgel Yamolei Adonai Kol Mishalisecha. Ato Yodaiti Ki Heshi Adonai Meshirei Yanehu Mishpeh Kodesh B'Gvuris Yeshi Yesha Yemine, Ele Rechav Elasus V'Anachnu Hashem Adonai Eloheinu Nazkir Hema Karov V'Nachalo V'Anachnu Kamnu V'Seidan Adonai Hashem Elchanenu V'Im Karenu. Tanya.
we're on page 120.
118.
What?
Are we on page 120 or 118?
Well, we were up to 118. Let's take a look and see where we got to. We were on 119. The difference between heter and asur. Something that's asur is forbidden. The word asur means forbidden, and also means tied down, like in prison. A prison is called a house of asurim. The word asur means tied down. It's tied down by who? By who? By the klippas. And heter means released. So in general usage, the word heter means permissible, because the klippas have no hold on the life in this thing, in this activity, or in this object, or this piece of food or drink. So that if you have a chicken and there's a question on the chicken, maybe it's asur, maybe something wasn't done properly, maybe the slaughtering wasn't done properly, maybe the chicken didn't have a Jewish mother. No, I'm just joking. And you take it to the rabbi, and the rabbi looks at the chicken and he says, I think we can find a leniency here. We can find a heter for what happened with this chicken. Maybe something wasn't done properly. Maybe the chicken swallowed its own tongue. And that made a question on the slaughtering of the chicken. Well, maybe we can find a heter. We can find a loophole that would make this chicken permissible. So that's a heter. So the chicken wasn't asur, wasn't tied down by klippas. It was permissible, and you could eat it and use it, and the life in the chicken will be included in the Torah and mitzvahs that you learn and do. Then we got to the point, page 120, on 120, that if a person does a thing in an improper way, but it's not necessarily forbidden, it's just the way it was done was not the right way. So he says that therefore it leaves a stain. How does he put it here? When the energy when a thing is permissible, the permissible object, let's say a person eats, I think what the Rebbe is talking about here is a person eats with not in the right way. He eats for his stomach or her stomach, or just for the pleasure of eating, or overeats. Oh, I never should have gone to that Viennese table, So they didn't eat with a holy intention, but the food was permissible. However, since it wasn't done for the sake of God, which means l'shem shamayim, for the sake of serving God, l'shem shamayim is for the sake of serving God, it leaves a stain. It's not forbidden, but it leaves a stain. And the body needs to get cleansed from the stain. Like we used the example yesterday of a nice piece of clothing that you're wearing gets a food stain at a wedding. So they can clean it, but it still leaves it's not the same anymore. So now is that stain on your body or on your soul, or both? He doesn't go into that question here. But definitely it's on your body because your body ate it. So therefore, the grave is a blessing. To be buried is a blessing because that cleanses the body. The worms and the elements cleanse the body in the grave. It's called here Chibut hakever. Chibut means something gets a smack. So when the little animals attack a person, where does the flesh go? Well, the flesh gets taken care of. Either it decays or it's eaten up by little creatures. And this is they call chibut hakever, that cleanses the body, so that the body will then be a receptacle for holiness. It's not even a stain, not a trace of anything unholy anymore. So it's this goes on for how long as it goes on. In terms of the mourning of a person who's bereft of a parent, it's for 12 months. 12 months is the cleansing time. So it's like you're spiritually taken to the cleaners. That's what's going on. So it's not something to be afraid of. When you take a garment to the cleaners, the garment is very happy that it's getting cleaned. But the chemicals that they use of the cleaners, they could be very harsh. But it's for a good thing. Okay, similarly, we went on to this, not just food, but in intimate relations in marriage. A drop of semen that doesn't end up in the right place, like a person spills the seed, or their intimacy in marriage was not Shem Shemayim, not with a heavenly intention. It was just sex. Good. Just for the pleasure of it. So here too, the energy in the drop of semen is trapped in the clutches of the clippers, or even worse, in the 3 unclean clippers, until the person does tshuva. How do you know if a person does tshuva? If they're in a similar situation and they behave differently. In the Talmud, I said yesterday, the Talmud gives the example, if a person is in the same motel or hotel with the same woman and does not sin, that's proof positive that they did tshuva. They don't want to go back there anymore. However, this is all dealing with things that are permissible. The man is married to his wife. It's not a person has a relationship with someone that he's not allowed to be with, or even a Jewish person with someone that, like a Kohen, is not allowed to marry a non-Jewish woman. So it's a forbidden intimacy. And therefore, it's not so simple to rectify that situation. Here you say in English, you call it illicit coition, if I'm pronouncing it properly. Since is a prohibited activity, or the food is not kosher, so the energy involved in the participants, or the energy that this food conveys to a person, is not just from klippas, from the 3 impure klippas, completely impure. And they are tied. Remember, tied and bound is the word asur. That's why they're called asur. Like asurim, a place where things are enjailed, enchained by klippas, which are negative forces. Okay? Now we move up to page 121. Is that Claudia, right?
Yes.
Yes. So the energy in these instances of interacting with things that are forbidden, cannot be redeemed, cannot be elevated, cannot be brought back to its source and holiness until the end of time. Because then all impurity will be made to pass away from the world. Klippas will be out of business. There just won't be any more klippas. And he says, Va'ani, in the first Hebrew paragraph, Ve'es ruach hatoma aver min haaretz. That's Hebrew for the ruach hatoma, the spirit of impurity. I will make it to pass away from the world. So now there's no more problem. But that might take a long time. It's even longer than waiting. This is after Moshiach. This is a later stage after the coming of Moshiach. Because the Rambam paskins, the Rambam rules that the first stage of Moshiach coming, nothing is going to change. Just Jewish people are going to become observant, Torah observant. And so the whole world is going to change. Like imagine what a drastic change it's going to be when New York becomes Shomer Shabbos. The whole New York becomes Shomer Shabbos. No business, no trucks, no boats, no movies, no conferences. A huge change will take place in the whole economy, the whole way the country runs. We'll be in a different world. Kosher meat won't be more expensive. There won't be non-kosher meat. At least not available to Jewish people. I had a student once in this class. She said, yes, that happened to me. I decided to keep kosher. She was from Brazil. I decided to keep kosher, but I wasn't happy with it because the kosher meat was not as good as the non-kosher meat, and it was more expensive. And she'd been keeping kosher for a while, and she said, enough, I'm not going to keep kosher anymore. I'm going to get the meat that I like. And she went into the department store, the supermarket. She went to the meat department and ordered meat and took it to check it out. And the butcher there said, you're taking this? You take kosher meat. Oh, she was so embarrassed. I didn't see, she said. She made it that she deliberately wanted to take the non-kosher meat, and the butcher didn't let her. So that's what's going to happen when Mashiach comes. But we're talking about a much later stage when anything that's not kosher is going to become kosher. You're not going to have imitation bacon. You're going to have kosher bacon from a kosher pig. How can it be a kosher pig? That's what's going to happen. There's not going to be any more spirit impurity in the world. Or second possibility, there's another possibility. I don't want to wait that long. I want everything in my life to become rectified, and I want it kosher, yosher now. Oh, how badly do you want it? Just how badly do you want it? Do you still think back on the good old days? Do you reminisce with nostalgia on the days before you kept kosher? On the parties that you went to that were not exactly tsanua, modest, and so on? Well, until a person repents, feels so bad, he doesn't want to have any memory or any connection with things that are not exactly the way Hashem wants, then that energy can rectify things that were totally wrong and make them right. Like a person was a thief and stole a lot of people's money and then realized the error of his ways, that it was a terrible thing to do, it was hurting people right, left, and center, and he thought he was fooling everybody, but in fact he was only fooling himself. And so he took all his money and devoted it to helping poor people. And he didn't want anything that had the slightest aroma of thievery about it. Or by way of example, like a person who is a chain smoker and stops smoking and can't bear to be in a room where people are smoking at all, even one person makes it. In other words, the whole concept of doing something against the will of God is completely repulsive. It's disgusting, like they say in Beis Rivka, nauseous. They misuse the word. Nauseous is how you feel. A thing itself cannot be nauseous. But that's how they talk here in Crown Heights. It's nauseous. So if something improper is nauseous to you, then you can fix it. Because you don't want to go near it with a 10-foot pole. You understand? That's a very deep level of tshuva. And he says here in the bold type, he repents so earnestly that even the sins that he planned on doing and he did them become mitzvahs, because the mistakes the person makes in life now become the motivation to do things right. I don't want to do that again, no matter what. I'm not going back there. And he'll prevent other people from doing the same thing. And this is called tshuva. There are many levels. This is called tshuva. There are many, many levels of tshuva. Tshuva, basically tshuva. What is tshuva? How do I do tshuva? Now this we're going to have to finish the class today because the class just zips by. By the time we come in, by the time we say a capital tilim, by the time we say a friendly word, after 15 minutes is gone already. That leaves only 15 minutes, 17 minutes. It's not much. Can't get too much accomplished in such a short time. So basically, tshuva is when you decide, I'm not going to do this anymore. Maybe your whole heart isn't there. You still might think you could wish that you could do it, but you don't let yourself. So practically, in the world of action, you did tshuva. The feelings, not yet. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So that's tshuva out of fear. I don't want to make trouble for myself. I don't want to be in trouble. I don't want to get other people in trouble. I don't want to go beyond the speed limit. And you find people are very, very careful, especially without Hasidus. This is the basic level of tshuva that people get to be very, very super careful, and they measure things to the ounce and to the minute and to the second. Exactly when can you say Kriya Shema and when can you not say Kriya Shema anymore? Not a Hasidic attitude, but it works. And that's called tshuva from fear. Fear is yira, like yira shemayim. Tshuva from fear is tshuva, practically speaking. But a person who does tshuva from fear may be not exactly inspiring or warm in character. Not necessarily, could be warm. But tshuva for the sake of a God alone, that's tshuva for love. That's tshuva with love. That the whole purpose of tshuva is leaving behind my fickle past, like they used to say. When I was a kid, there was a song, a cowboy western song we heard on the radio. I'm going to leave my fickle past behind me. If a person does tshuva in order to cling to God, l'shem shamayim, that's called tshuva from love. Because I love Hashem so deeply that I don't want to be separated from him in any way, shape, or form. So there's no way that I'm going to come and do something improper. It would be a contradiction to my whole existence, to my whole attitude. That's called tshuva me ahava. Ahava is love. The bottom line is tshuva. You do the right thing. You stay away from bad. David HaMelech says, turn away from bad and do good. Sur meira. Sur means to turn. Ra is evil. Sur meira, turn away from evil. Va'aseh tev, and do good. That's tshuva. Sums it up. And there are various gradations and levels depending on each person and each incident and each thing. Hundreds and thousands of levels and mixtures. How much is yira? How much is ava? How much is fear? How much is love? Okay, so by doing tshuva from love, you can transform completely things that are completely negative into things that are completely positive, because the negative now becomes part of your positive, because the negative things that you did are now your inspiration to do even better. They become your motivation. They become the fuel. And with that fuel, you elevate the negativity that you were engaged in, and it no longer exists. That negativity goes out of existence and becomes part of your kosher character. Becomes part of the kosher part of your soul and your being. It's your whole motivation. You can't imagine how people do that. And that's why Baalei Tshuva in their early stages can be extremely intolerant and unsympathetic to people who are not observant, because they don't want to be connected anymore with the mistakes of their past. Whether these mistakes were mistakes through lack of knowledge or whether they were deliberate mistakes. Like Alcoholics Anonymous. People go and they know they're alcoholics. My name is Jeff and I'm an alcoholic. And they speak it out. They don't want to be tempted to ever have a drink again. All right? That's tshuva. Well, it's very much tshuva from fear, because they've experienced the terrible results of their addiction. But it's also tshuva me'ava, because they know the benefits of staying away. And they commit themselves to it with love. So we have tshuva me'ira and tshuva me'ava, tshuva from fear and tshuva from love. And that is tshuva from, here he says here, mi'umka deliba, from the depths of the heart. And not just from ava, there's a mild love and there's an overwhelming love. The overwhelming love is tshuva me'ava. Tshuva me'ava rabba, with great love, great love. V'chasheka, and desire to cling to godliness and to holiness. V'nefesh shekaka, and a soul that's thirsty for the truth. L'davka be'yisbarach, with a passionate desire to cling to God. That's tshuva me'ava rabba. In other words, tshuva takes everything to the next level. So that if a person does a mistake and out of a momentary lapse of awareness, eats on a fast day, not supposed to eat, or he was at a party and the party went too late and it became already the morning of the fast day and he's still eating. And he didn't realize, he didn't do it on purpose, he didn't realize, wasn't careful. So when he realizes and he feels bad about it, and he makes a decision, he's not going to make such a mistake again, ever. So that tshuva can retroactively elevate the mistake. But if he did know what he was doing, and he did it anyway, then he's going to need a deeper level of ava to retroactively elevate that mistake, that it should never, ever happen again. You have to have a deeper ava. And similarly, so a plain and ordinary tshuva can elevate the plain and ordinary mistake through lack of awareness. But a deliberate mistake is going to need a much deeper level of tshuva, a deeper level of yira, a deeper level of ava. And for the worst kinds of mistakes that a person did with his whole heart, he really was into the mistaken kind of behavior that he had. He needs a deeper tshuva. He needs a tshuva mi'ava rabba, because that can rectify not just an ordinary mistake, even a deeper mistake, and it can make it to be like it wasn't a mistake, like it didn't happen. But to make it like something positive, it requires even another level of tshuva, to bring it up another level into the realm of complete goodness and inspiration. You understand how it goes? Every level of tshuva can rectify a corresponding negative level that you want to fix it up, so that it says that he has this overwhelming love and desire and yearning and longing to be connected to Hashem. But Sama nafshu Hashem. You may have heard this on the tapes when the Rebbe sings these words. Sama lecha nafshi. My soul thirsts. Sama is thirst. My soul thirsts for you, Hashem. Like a person in the desert where there's no water, and he's parched. His throat is parched, and he's thirsting for water, and all he sees is a mirage. Looks like water, but it's just heat waves. Because until now, page 122, until now he was in Death's Valley. I went through Death Valley once when I was 19 years old, after my first year of college. A bunch of us got into a car and we drove across the whole of America. And when we went through Death Valley, I thought I was really worried. We might not, if the radiator overheats, we're stuck. Baruch Hashem, we got out the other side. And spiritually, until now, this person has been in Death Valley, a barren wilderness, in the shadow of death, that is the other side. That's what the other side is. David HaMelech portrays it in these words. A thirsty land of death. Sitra Achra, that is the other side, that is the side of the klippas. Absolutely, completely, totally distant, separate from godliness. And realizing that that's where he was, let me out of here, let me get out of here. And that's why his soul is thirsting now. Thirsting. Yes, her eyes, but Simon with an overwhelming thirst. Even greater than the love of the souls of the righteous. So that's why it says that a Baal Tshuva stands where a righteous person, even righteous people, cannot stand, because they never went there. They don't know that desire to get out of the clutches of the Death Valley, because they never went there in the first place. And that's why a Baal Tshuva, where a Baal Tshuva stands, even the completely righteous do not stand. We'll continue with this tomorrow. Friday not. So tomorrow is our last class for this week. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's your name?
Hi.
Chaya. Are you joining us for a day, a week, a month, term?
Just pop in.
Gonna pop in?
I can, yeah.
So you might pop in again.
No, yeah, I'll probably be here tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay, good. Pleased to have you.
What capital are you on?
Hmm?
What capital are you on?
What capital are we on?
Capital are you doing in Tanya right now?
What?
Chapter 7? What chapter?
Yeah, we're chapter 7.
Yeah.
You plunged in the deep end. This is not the
Yeah.
wading pool. This is like this over your head. The deep end. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam bo nefashos v'albos v'chasroin ad alkal mashem barasa v'achayesh b'hem nefesh kol choy baruch chay haolamim. It's okay, Chaya. Everything is meant to be.
No, I've learned
You
Tanya
came
before.
today,
I've
because
learned
today was
Tanya.
exactly what you had to
I'm
hear.
good. I promise.
You're,
Yeah. You don't gotta worry about me.
Okay, you'll worry about others.
Mm-hmm.
You'll help them along. We're pleased to have you. Thank you for joining.
What's your name, Rabbi?
My
Rabbi
name?
what? Rabbi what?
Rabbi what?
Rabbi
Yeah,
what?
I'm Rabbi. My David Shalom Pape. My name.
Got it.
My claim to fame is that I'm Mrs. Pape's husband.
Oh.
Have a wonderful day. Look how sunny and nice it's become. Enjoy it. Somebody told me this morning we're gonna have big snows next week.
Something else.
Hi, you're amazing. Yeah.
Who teaches halacha?
Right now we have Rabbi Bars for Shabbos.
Who's teaching? Today is teaching Rabbi Pape.
Yeah.
Is everyone here?
And then what's the, do you know what level 2 is?
Wait, is that?
Don't know. Oh, yeah. Rabbi Austin.
And what? So like,
Shabbos or.
oh, you don't know also?
Yeah.
Oh.
And this class we go through
You?
the.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, earlier. I'm 22.